Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, March 23rd. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. A major development tonight in easing the high price of gas here in our county and across the state. Governor Newsom now unveiling his relief package. Here's what's in it. A $400 rebate per registered car, a maximum 2 per person. And this includes people who own electric cars. For people who don't have cars, Newsom wants the state to pay for their bus or train fare for 3 months. The governor says the rebate would cost the state about $9 billion. The plan overall, $11 billion. State lawmakers have been debating various plans, and this one, too, would have to be approved by the legislature. Nothing worse than wasting gas in bumper-to-bumper traffic. Well, today, 9 new miles of carpool lanes opened for southbound drivers on Interstate 5 in North County. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer on the high cost and hope of easing congestion.
The new HOV lanes on southbound I-5 stretch from Palomar Airport Road in Carlsbad to Loma Santa Fe Drive in Solana Beach. These new lanes aim to reduce congestion and greenhouse gas emissions on the highway while providing more travel options. Our partners at 10 News spoke with Charlie Nelson, a North County commuter, this morning.
It definitely will open it up a bit more, but it still will be a bit of a bottleneck until it gets to that point. But I'm hoping it'll spread it out and make it less of a problem.
Caltrans North County Corridor Director Alan Cossip says the new southbound lanes will complement the northbound carpool addition on the same part of the I-5 that opened up to the public on February 15th of this year.
Everyone gets a benefit. Even the folks in the general purpose lane see faster times. On the northbound lanes, when we opened them about a month ago, we were seeing upwards of 5-minute time savings over those 9 miles compared to, a few weeks earlier.
Cossip says the new 9 miles of carpool lanes will connect with 12 existing miles of HOV lanes to the south. He expects similar time savings on the new southbound lanes.
This project is funded by state, federal, and regional. So the old Transnet, the half-cent sales tax, went to a portion of this project, as well as the gas tax increase that occurred in California a few years ago.
In 2023, 4 additional miles of carpool lanes are planned to be opened from Palomar Airport Road to State Route 78 in South Oceanside, completing 13 new miles of HOV lanes on the I-5. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Most of us know where the Del Mar Racetrack and Fairgrounds are, but you might not know that right next to it sits a large plot of open land, the San Diego Lagoon and wetlands. KPBS reporter John Carroll says a new project to restore the wetlands is now underway.
Zooming along on Interstate 5, it's easy to miss one of the last large pieces of open land along the I-5 corridor, the San Diego Lagoon.
It is the dream to restore the habitat back to what it was decades ago, tidal wetlands that open to the tides and provide habitat and recreational opportunities.
Phase 1 of that restoration was completed years ago. Now the much larger piece, Phase 2, is underway. 84 acres, equivalent to 64 football fields, is being put back into its natural state. Sandag is partnering with Caltrans to get the $87 million project done. It's an exchange of sorts. The agency's just completed HOV lane project impacted wetlands.
And now we're going to make up for that by creating wetland habitat, tidal wetland habitat here.
1.3 million cubic feet of material will eventually be moved from down there in those big dump trucks and eventually up to that hillside where it will be replanted.
We will revegetate that with coastal sage scrub, and then they'll bring that down so they can then create the wetland habitat. Because we're, creating some transitional habitat that will help with sea level rise. We're improving water quality, so it's really exciting.
But this project is about more than environmental restoration. Not only will trails in the lagoon area be expanded and improved, a park trail will also connect into the Coast to Crest Trail, a mammoth multi-year undertaking that will eventually link the coast to Vulcan Mountain near Julian.
The whole trail is planned for 71 miles, and we have 49 miles on the ground today. And right now we're working on the 50th mile.
The lagoon restoration is set to be complete by mid-2024, a place surrounded by the busyness of life where people and animals will find an oasis of nature's beauty. John Carroll, KPBS News.
The U.S. formally declares Russia has committed war crimes against Ukraine. This accusation comes as President Biden is in Belgium to meet with NATO leaders. More now from reporter Amy Kiley.
The president is traveling to Europe to ensure we stay united on all three critical fronts, helping the Ukrainian people defend themselves, imposing and increasing costs on Russia, and reinforcing the Western alliance.
President Joe Biden is flying to Brussels today for an emergency NATO summit on Ukraine tomorrow. The White House says his first objective is to help the Ukrainians. Ukraine says some 100,000 people are trapped in the besieged city of Mariupol.
I've got elderly parents and 4 pets that I will not leave. Thanks to good people and people who helped, it became possible.
Other Ukrainians are battling to protect the capital, Kyiv, and other cities. And the UN says more than 3.5 million refugees have fled to neighboring countries to escape the fighting.
I have a little baby. I love my family. I had plans. And now I don't have plans.
Biden's second goal is to help impose further costs on Russia for its actions.
You know who is ordering war and who is promoting it. Almost all of them use Italy as a holiday resort. So do not be a resort for them.
The trip is also to show that the U.S. stands with its allies.
The closer you are to this Russian threat, the more real it is and the more frightening it is. And so what's happening in Ukraine, people in the Baltic states like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, they can see it happening there.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The woman who became the first female U.S. Secretary of State has died. Madeleine Albright was 84 years old. In a statement released today, her family says that she died of cancer. In 1996, President Bill Clinton chose Albright to be America's leading diplomat, where she served for the last 4 years of the Clinton administration. Born in Prague in 1937, Albright escaped the then Czechoslovakia after the Nazi invasion. And then in 2012, President Barack Obama honored her with the Medal of Freedom, saying her life was an inspiration to all Americans. Senators were back at it again today, questioning Supreme Court nominee Katanji Brown Jackson. Republicans continue to grill her on her support of law enforcement and law philosophy. Meanwhile, Democrats gave her plenty of time to defend her record. Gloria Pazmino has the latest.
Judge Katanji Brown Jackson arrived at Capitol Hill for one last day of questioning.
Senate Judiciary Committee will come to order.
Lawmakers focused on her criminal defense attorney record, and she responded to criticism that she has been soft on crime.
I understand the need for law enforcement, the importance of holding people accountable for their criminal behavior. I also, as a lawyer and a citizen, believe very strongly in our Constitution and the rights that make us free.
Brown talked about her brother, a former Baltimore Police Department officer and an Army veteran.
Law enforcement is a dangerous profession, and as family members, you worry when you don't get the phone call.
South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham questioned Brown on whether undocumented immigrants should be allowed to vote.
Under our laws, you have to be a citizen of the United States in order to vote.
So the answer would be no.
It's not consistent with our laws, so the answer is no.
After the hearings wrap, the committee will vote on whether to advance the nomination, which appears on track to happen. A final vote on the Senate floor will follow. Gloria Pazmino, KPBS News.
And this week's confirmation hearings in Washington have provided history lessons in real time for students. KPBS education reporter MG Perez takes us to class with some high school seniors on the verge of voting for the first time.
For like decades, it's been like predominantly like white men on there.
17-year-old Charlie Schooner is talking about the history of the U.S. Supreme Court and those who have served on it. He's a senior here at High Tech High International in Liberty Station. His civics class tuned in today to watch Supreme Court nominee Katanji Brown Jackson make history.
It is what our country is founded on.
The past couple of days, Judge Jackson spent hours answering questions from senators about her legal experience and even personal beliefs.
She's very good at like dealing with the grilling that like she's been getting on a lot of those hearings. She's been like very, I guess like respectful and professional is a good way to put it.
So knowing that she's worked with a group of marginalized people, is a marginalized person herself, really gives me the confidence that she will be making good decisions for those people.
Malia Oto is also 17 and will be old enough to vote in the next election. She says it's about time.
We're tired of sitting there and kind of like listening to everyone fight. I'm kind of like, gosh, shut up. Like, it's important, but at the same time, it's so hectic and chaotic.
This high-tech high campus is a public charter high school known for its open concept classrooms and open-minded students who are opinionated too, especially when it comes to social justice and defending marginalized communities.
It's because she's a woman of color, and they feel probably threatened by her just being there.
A lot of them have very strong opinions or political affiliations, and so that can be really challenging to kind of balance and make room for everybody to share the air.
I am excited about voting because it gives me a voice, and I would like to be able to have an influence on this country because, I'm a citizen of it.
As confirmation hearings are wrapping up in Washington, there is also a review and wrap-up by these students who are the next generation of leaders.
I'm really excited to see what my generation does. I hope that we can be a group of people to be proud of and make some meaningful changes for people.
That's a judgment call anyone can agree with. MG Perez, KPBS News.
It is official that the SAT and ACT exams will be dropped by the California State University system. The largest four-year university system in the country said it is a permanent move, eliminating the standardized exams that have created equity concerns. The University of California dropped the exams in 2020, starting a debate over whether the tests were considered fair for disadvantaged students. In lieu of the tests, admissions criteria will have a focus on factors that demonstrate skill and potential for college success. Rising gas prices are starting to hit parents who rely on carpools to get their kids to school. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne talks to parents in Oceanside.
Every morning, 4 middle schoolers pack into Natalie Sanchez's car for a ride to school. She drives the teens to Cesar Chavez Middle School in Oceanside. That's because the district doesn't provide bus transportation, and many of the parents work early.
I pretty much told the family, you know what, give me what you can. Sometimes they give me 20, sometimes 15, it's what they can. It's single moms, low-income families, and I feel bad taking from them.
But not all carpooling parents are as generous as Sanchez. Rising gas prices are forcing some carpoolers to charge families more for rides.
I've heard of a family paying up to $400 a month for her children to be carpooled.
Maria Infante relied on a carpooling parent to get her daughter to school.
$50 a la semana.
Infante says she was paying $50 per week, but the fee began cutting into her tight budget, and her daughter now takes the city bus. While it is cheaper, her daughter has to be up an hour earlier to get to school on time. But parents with younger children, some that attend different schools, don't have that choice.
Les toca mandarlos solos, que se vayan caminando en la mañana y en la tarde, porque pues no hay suficientes ingresos para pagar, para que les den ride a los niños.
Infante says many parents that can't afford the increasing carpooling fees are having their children walk to and from school. Some schools are miles away from their homes, requiring the students to cross busy intersections and freeway ramps.
No, en bicicleta no, porque En la escuela hay veces que los que llevan en carros van muy rápido y
She says even bikes aren't a choice due to the morning rush hour and children at risk of getting hit. We reached out to Oceanside School District to ask about the current transportation for students. In a statement, they said they are in line with state requirements and only providing transportation for certain groups of students. Those in special education, foster students, or students experiencing homelessness, and designated students living on Camp Pendleton. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Children between the ages of 6 months and 5 years may soon have a COVID vaccine available for them. Moderna says their vaccine had what they are calling a, quote, robust, neutralizing antibody response and a favorable safety profile. Some adverse reactions after the second shot were observed but were reportedly mild or moderate. Moderna will now ask the FDA for authorization. COVID has caused a shift at many workplaces, with employees leaving for other jobs or for other employers that they think are a better fit. Those employees include San Diego law enforcement officers, some leaving because of COVID mandates. But KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado found that's not the only reason.
This is Deputy Darnell Calhoun, one of Riverside County Sheriff's Department's new hires.
Welcome to Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Appreciate it, man.
And while he's just meeting some of his colleagues for the first time, he's no rookie. He comes with 3 years of experience in law enforcement from a department that's considered top-notch, the San Diego Police Department.
I'm glad that I can be here and be a part of the community.
He says he loved his colleagues in San Diego and already knew the city well. Then things started to change.
And a lot of people started to leave due to a lot of the vaccination status stuff that I won't really get into. So it took a hard hit on my station.
Calhoun is vaccinated himself, but he left SDPD for several reasons, including low morale and an increasing workload. And that, he says, is a problem when you're doing an already dangerous job.
And yeah, it's rough. That's not something I wish on anyone.
Sergeant Jared Wilson is the president of the San Diego Police Officers Association.
There is essentially unlimited overtime for officers to work right now, but they're burnt out and we go a lot of positions that are unfilled.
He says the force should have 2,000 officers, but they're down to just 1,700 available for patrol, thanks to a combination of factors, including retirements and resignations to take other jobs.
Our officers are hot commodities.
He says this is having an impact on crime. So far this year, homicide rates are up 80% over last year.
I've never seen homicide rates skyrocket this quickly, this fast, in just the first 2 months of this year. Certainly not in my 15 years as a police officer.
And response times are getting longer.
A priority 1 call, which is something like a burglary in progress, a violent attack in progress, an assault, or a fight in progress, those response times are in excess of 30 minutes to get a police officer to you.
I feel very, very bad for the other agencies.
Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco says his department is reaping the rewards of officers leaving large city forces like SDPD.
You think you have what it takes. I have a tan and green uniform with your name on it.
He says last year they hired fewer than 20 officers from other departments. And this year, there's already more than 60 in some stage of the hiring process. Nearly 20 of them are from San Diego County agencies, already trained and ready to hit the streets.
You ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go.
We are just overwhelmed at the level of experience and training that we're getting. We have SWAT team members. We have canines that are coming over. We have aviation people that are coming over.
The Riverside County Sheriff's Department does not mandate vaccines, but Bianco says the background checks are still rigorous and he won't hire officers with a history of disciplinary issues. But so far, the ones applying are as good as they get.
So far, that's all we are finding. We are finding stellar employees from these other agencies that are leaving simply because of the vaccine mandate at their agency, and we're, quite frankly, we're getting a huge reward.
Calhoun says he's glad to work closer to home and not have to commute 90 minutes one way, but he says San Diego could have done more to keep officers in its ranks.
Obviously, if you bump everyone's pay up a little bit more, if you pay into their retirement a little bit more, things like that. That would go a long way as well.
Union President Jared Wilson hopes a more competitive contract will stop the hemorrhaging and attract good officers.
This isn't just about the vaccine mandates. That is the #1 thing that pushed people out the door. But we also have vaccinated officers leaving now because they're underpaid and they're overworked.
Bianco says even with the transfers, his department is breaking even and is looking to hire 450 more deputies. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
People on private insurance plans will now have abortions more financially accessible to them. Governor Newsom signed off on a law that will eliminate things like co-pays and deductibles for those who want abortions. It's the first of more than a dozen bills that Democrats plan to pass this year to protect access to abortion. This summer, California and other states are preparing for a potential ruling from the Supreme Court that could overturn Roe v. Wade. Low-income households who missed the deadline for this year's Affordable Care Act coverage can still sign up for plans with free premiums. A special enrollment period is being offered at healthcare.gov. Americans with incomes under $19,320 or just under $40,000 for a 4-member family are eligible. The Biden administration has been increasing efforts to get more people enrolled. A record-setting 14.5 million Americans signed up for the ACA during this year's open enrollment period.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, Russian invasion. Ukraine continues to mount stiff resistance to the Russian onslaught. Coming up at 7 after the evening edition on KPBS.
New state regulations could drive down the cost of wildfire insurance by allowing homeowners and businesses to show the steps they've taken to reduce their risks. It comes as many Californians are seeing their policies canceled or their premiums skyrocket. Reporter Christine Lazar spoke to a homeowner facing a massive insurance bill.
Joan Salvatore moved to this remote part of Chatsworth to retire and relax. Instead,
it's stressful every month, wondering where I'm going to get the money to pay the bills.
The source of her stress, in part, is due to her homeowner's insurance. Last fall, she got this notice from Travelers that they were dropping her due to an increased risk of wildfire loss. Since no other carriers would cover her, Salvatore was forced to go on the state-run insurance program, the California Fair Plan. But her premium jumped from about $1,000 a year to more than $4,000.
It means that my little part-time job that was supposed to be my retirement fund money is now allowing me to barely scrape by and pay my bills.
In an effort to drive down the cost of coverage, State Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara is proposing new regulations that would require insurers to offer cost incentives to those who take steps to reduce fire danger around their homes, such as brush clearance, fire-resistant roofs, and double-pane windows. It would also mandate that insurers assign wildfire risk scores to properties for greater transparency. LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger included a survey from the California Department of Insurance in her latest newsletter, hoping to help the department compile data to understand the full scope of the problem.
So I think the goal of this survey being conducted by the state is to come up with solutions to what is going on in the state, and that is that, quite frankly, insurance companies are reluctant to write homeowner policies based on the fact that we've had many wildfires. It's no longer a season, it's a year-round issue.
Insurance broker Jeff McCarty.
There are carriers that are just getting out of the market entirely, and it leaves people uninsured, and it's a big problem.
That was Christine Lazar reporting. The regulation hearing is on April 13th in Sacramento, but will be held virtually and is open to the public.
Not a bad evening ahead around San Diego County. Taking a look at your weather headlines here. Toasty, warm, and dry for now, but we do get rain chances back by the end of the weekend, really the beginning of this coming week. Here's a look at tonight around the metro. San Diego, not so bad, 59 degrees, free and clear, not a cloud in sight. So if you want to get outside, it's a good night for it. A little bit of a wider view here, San Diego County. Ramona, you're going to hit 47 degrees as your low. Escondido, 49, 48 in Oceanside. San Diego, like we said, 59, and El Cajon, you will be at 55 degrees by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. Speaking of tomorrow, we stay pretty warm even for this time of year. The jet stream lifts and we get that nice warm air and plenty of sunshine. Temperatures well above average for this time of year. Let's talk about the numbers, shall we? San Diego County, you're looking at 76 degrees in Oceanside tomorrow afternoon. San Diego, 74. Chula Vista, you're looking at 80 by the end of the day. And let's go inland just a little bit over to El Cajon, 90 degrees by the end of tomorrow afternoon, and not too far off, 1 degree difference here in Borrego Springs, 91 by tomorrow afternoon. Little cooler if you want to cool off, head to Mount Laguna. It's only going to be 65 in comparison, but again, those toasty warm temperatures, something to consider as you're moving through really the next 2 days or so. A cooling trend is well on the way. Take a look at the coast. Over the next few days, we go from the mid-70s all the way down to the upper 60s by Monday, and that's when we have that chance of rain coming back into the forecast. Inland, it's a similar story here, except the temperatures are a little bit higher here, 86 degrees tomorrow. The same number on Friday. Saturday, we keep a few degrees, and the mid-70s by Sunday. Into the 60s we go for Monday as clouds creep in a little bit more. Back to the mountains, a little bit cooler, but the trend continues. 55 degrees by Sunday and into the 40s for Monday. Bundle up. It's going to be breezy as well, feeling colder than it actually is. Then there's the desert, the absolute opposite here, the 90s until Monday when we'll hit the upper 70s. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Christina Shalhoop.
Today, if you haven't already noticed, is National Puppy Day, a time to recognize our best friends. It was also the last day on the job for a very good boy, Potter. Worked as a detector dog for 4 years with the San Diego County Agriculture Weights and Measures Department. The lab beagle mix used his nose to sniff out unwanted plant pests in agricultural parcels. And today, county officials honored his service with a nice pat on the back, as well as some treats and toys and a cake, it looks like. Potter will live out his retirement years with his new adopted family. Well done. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.